You know, here we are midsummer here in Iowa, and I'm just out doing some scouting, glassing deer, kind of taking an inventory of what I've got, and doing it from a distance. I've got one of the new Alpen spotting scopes. It's a 20 by 60, but one of the things I really like about this, it comes with a tripod, and it's got micro adjustments, so it's real easy to zoom in and move around and find those animals. But basically, this is a great tool to help me manage the farm all year round. If you're looking for a great way to do some scouting, do it in the evening from a distance with a nice spotting scope. You know, good optics are a must for a hunter. The new Alpen Tetons. They're lighter, they're better in low light, excellent glass. You'll be hard pressed to find that glass for under $1,000. Everything that you would want in a pair of optics. I know what I'm looking for, and once I know what I'm looking for and find what it is, that's what I'm interested in buying. The bottom line is they're affordable, they're lighter, and they're great in low light, the new Alpen Tetons. Another deer coming out. Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpen Optics, and I want to talk to you today about the new Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars. Now, they're lighter than the older Shasta Ridges, new sleek design, fog-proof, waterproof, BAK4 prisms, phase-coated, and the lenses are multi-coated. Inexpensive pair of binoculars with great quality. So if you're looking to save a little money, but still put quality in your backpack, make sure you check out the Alpen Shasta Ridge binoculars.
Go.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Hunt with Alpen Optics. I'm your host, Rick White, and you're not going to want to miss tonight's show. A good buddy of mine is our guest, Mr. Stan Potts, all the way from Illinois. And at the end of the show, I have an unbelievable special. So make sure you sit right down, don't go anywhere, and we'll be back in about 30 seconds. And welcome back, everybody, to On the Hunt with Alpen Optics. And, you know, I'm out here in Indiana still doing a little bit of muzzleloader hunting. And it's been a little bit tough. The weather's a little iffy right now, but we're seeing some good deer, and hopefully it's a matter of time. But, hey, speaking of deer, you're gonna enjoy tonight's episode. A good friend of mine, all the way from Illinois, is our guest this evening, Mr. Stan Potts. How you doing, Stan?
I'm good, Rick. Man, it's been a long time since we've been able to get together, but I sure appreciate you asking me to be on tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like nowadays, you know, that we're not working side by side all the time. We only see each other at shows. And I know you gave me a little bit of grief the other day because I drove by coming to Indiana and I wasn't too far from your place, but I'll get up there. We've been talking about going fishing now for about 20 years. We need to do it one of these times.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I should have given you grief. You drove by me on 74. You were within 20 minutes of my house, man. And by the way, before I forget it, did you happen to see Illinois just put a whooping on the Iowa Hawkeyes the other night in Iowa City?
Oh boy, I don't even know what to say. I knew that was going to come up, and I've been thinking all day. I've been thinking about it all day, thinking about what would be a good comeback. But the bottom line is there isn't one. We have been fortunate over the years to beat Illinois every once in a while, but this year was not one of those years. So, you know, and Illinois has got a fantastic team, and you're a huge Illinois basketball fan. I mean, I've sat down and watched games with you, and there's not another experience like it. But you've been a huge fan for years.
Yeah, my whole life. I mean, my favorite sport to watch on TV is college basketball, and I've been a diehard Illinois fan my whole life. I can't remember when I wasn't, and so it's Illinois basketball is my thing, and killing big bucks, I hope.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you'll remember this, but you and I were doing a hunt. I believe it was down in Kansas, and Illinois was playing Wake Forest. I remember this. And I was just to get under your skin, I was cheering on Wake Forest. Now, obviously, I would cheer on the Big Ten team, but because I was cheering on Wake Forest, and I think Wake Forest won that game. I don't remember, but it was quite an experience.
I remember that. That's right, but Wake Forest didn't win that game. Wake Forest got beat. Illinois.
They came back and
we were ranked. The Illini was ranked number 3 and Wake Forest was ranked number 1, and we took them down and took over the number 1 ranking. But I remember that hunt. We were down there in Kansas, and it was actually a spot of yours. And do you remember you were filming me, and I shot a really nice buck with a rifle, but we were chasing a monster 10-pointer with huge brow tines. I shot that other buck, and the next day we went pheasant hunting on that same spot. And do you remember that big buck walked out right in front of us?
Yeah, right where we would have been deer hunting if you wouldn't have tagged out. So yeah,
right there. I mean, actually, that big buck stood up in the brush right in front of you.
Yep. Yeah, I remember it.
And he was it was probably a 180 or 90-inch 10-pointer.
Yeah, he was a giant. I remember that. And speaking of big deer, you're no stranger to big deer. You've been very well blessed over the years, and as well as myself. But you have, I forget, Stan, have you shot 3 deer over 200 inches?
No, I actually got 5.
Oh, my mistake.
I got 5 last year, but that's all right. You try to trim me down every once in a while, but I've got 5 200 last year.
I remember, years ago, you were the first one, and we filmed it. I think Pat Reed may have filmed that hunt, but you were one of the first to kill a 200+ inch deer on video, if I remember right, a free range 200+ deer.
Yeah, that's right. Pat was filming that, and that was a piece of property that I had leased here in Illinois, and it was actually a 220 gross non-typical, and Pat did film that. And at the time, it was the largest free range whitetail on professional video.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think I filmed you shooting a big 10-pointer, I believe, on the same property just a few years later, if I remember right.
Yeah, just another year or 2 after that on the same property, out of the same tree stand. If you remember that morning when that big 10-pointer come in, he come in from the left, and we didn't have much time. And as he's coming in, I said, here's a big one. I drew back, and you couldn't get on him with the camera yet. And you were telling me, wait. So we did have to wait for him to come out in front of us and get him on camera for just a little bit before I could shoot. But, you know, luckily I made a good shot, and you done a great job on the camera. And, you know, that deer was in the 150s, maybe 160.
Yeah, it was a big deer. You know, one of the misconceptions that I get from a lot of people, myself, and maybe you do too, but people don't realize, you know, they think that we have the best places in the world to hunt. And listen, we have some great places to hunt. There's no question about that. But Stan, I know you and I know myself, we go out and we do our own scouting. We hang our own stands. I mean, these aren't set up hunts for us. And I want you to tell people exactly what you go through.
Well, I mean, that's exactly right, Rick. Sometimes people have a misconception of what we do. And I think that they get that misconception because once in a while we hunt with an outfitter. And even though that we've hunted with outfitters, you know, like for instance, Joel Snow in Ohio, I hunted with him several times, but I always went in there and got all my own stuff ready and hung my own stands, done my own scouting and everything. Not that Joel's not great at what he does, because he's one of the best I know, but I prefer to do all that stuff. And so do you. You know, that's part of the hunt, and I enjoy that, and I'm sure you do too, as much as the actual hunt itself.
Yeah, I know. And you and I know we hunted together out in Wyoming at Mike Watkins years ago. And, you know, we would show up 2 or 3 days prior to the hunt and go out and spend our evenings glassing deer and trying to figure out where they're coming from and which direction they're heading, and then make a plan on where we were going to hunt. And even though Mike had a real good idea of what they were doing, you know, we still went out there early and did our own scouting and decided where we wanted to hang our stands. And we did all that ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. And you know as well as anybody that when we're filming for our TV shows and video and stuff, not just anybody can hang those sets the way they need to be hung to get the great footage that you need. I mean, you've shot so many big deer on film, Rick, but what a lot of people don't realize is you filmed a tremendous amount of big deer being shot also. And for us to do all of our own thing and hanging our own stands and stuff, it just works better. We get better footage. Everything works. And in defense of outfitters or other people that try to hang stuff for us, you know, they're not experienced. They don't really know what you need as a cameraman. And so it works best that way.
Yeah. So tell me, how is it that Stan Potts got into the outdoor industry? I mean, everybody's always calling, how do I do this? What can I do? What steps can I take? And it's a little harder than it used to be, but how did you get involved in the outdoor industry?
Well, to be honest with you, the way I got started, I shot some really big deer, and I had a couple of articles done on me in North American Whitetail, and I got to be friends with Gordon Whittington, who was the managing editor of North American Whitetail. And that's really how people found out about Stan Potts, is through that. But if you're talking about video and TV, that all started when I was managing. I went and managed a place called Heartland Lodge, and I set that up and did that for 2 years. And that's where I met Mark and Terry Drury. And I'd already done a lot of stuff in the magazines and stuff. And Mark had a call company, and you know very well, Mad Calls. And he had turkey calls and he had deer calls. And he asked me when they came to Heartland Lodge, he asked me if I'd be willing to do some stuff on film with a new call that he had called the power calling. And he said, I'm going to title the video Power Calling. Would you be willing to do something like that? And so I said, sure. And we went out in the timber, and I sat on a stump, and they filmed me. We talked about calling deer, and grunting and doe calling and everything else. And it was really, really easy for me to do. And it will come out so good that things just started to happen. I met Mossy Oak, I met Cuz Strickland, and they wanted me to be on their show when it was on TNN. And being on camera was real easy for me. And it was in the beginning, Rick, if you'll remember, when hunting videos and TV was just starting, and I was in the right place at the right time, and I was blessed to be able to do it, and it was not hard for me at all. And that's how I got started.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. You know, everybody is going to want to know, they're going to want some tips from the master himself. How is it? How now I understand you, in order to kill big deer, you have to have big deer on your property. But killing a big deer just doesn't come by mistake, doesn't come easy. There's some work that goes into it. And what tips could you give some fellow bow hunters out there that might help them be more successful on whatever deer they're hunting?
Well, I would just tell them this, early and late is what I always like to say. If you want to be successful at anything, I don't care if it's hunting or whatever, but if it is hunting and you make the decision that you want to start trying to harvest big mature bucks on a regular basis, then you need to be willing to go early and stay late. And there's no substitute for boots on the ground. I mean, in today's technology with trail cameras and all the new equipment and the advancements and everything, it does help a lot, but there's nothing better than boots on the ground and spending time going early, staying late, and learning 24/7, 365. I mean, I think about big deer all the time. I'm out there in the summertime glassing. My sons and I are running cameras. I mean, you got to dedicate yourself to it. There's a reason why Michael Jordan was the best ever, because he was the first one in the gym and the last one to leave. Same way with Woods and people like that. I mean, you get out of it what you're willing to put in it. And that's probably the best tip that I can give anybody.
Yeah, you've always, first of all, when all the time that I've spent with you in the woods, and you mentioned, I do a lot of filming, and not just yourself, but people like Wayne Carlton and different people. I have learned so much about elk hunting from Wayne and deer hunting from you, and so on and so forth. And one of the things that you kind of put in my mind at an early age, and I was behind it. But, I worked for a company that manufactured scent elimination products, and I still follow scent elimination to the T. But one thing you told me way back when, these things are all great, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't play the wind. And, and I've told people this for years. It doesn't matter what steps you take to be scent free, but you have to also play the wind. There's no sense in going in and hunting a bad wind. And I've hunted with you so many times that we've gone out to the woods. We were going to a specific stand and you said, oh, the wind's bad. And we changed position. Or I've actually had you climb down after an hour in a stand and move to another stand because the wind changed. So, I mean, it's an important thing, is it not?
It is. It's very important. Scent elimination is great, and I practice it just like you do. I mean, I still use scent away all the time. I wash my clothes. I go through the whole thing. I use an ozonics, which is one of the best scent elimination tools ever made. But nothing is 100% foolproof, and they still will get you from time to time. So when you're scouting and you're picking your spots, your stand locations, you pick stand locations for all winds. Anything north, anything south. I've got stands hung for everything, every wind direction possible in the places that I hunt, and I do not go to them. If I've got it set up for a south wind, I do not hunt it with a north wind, if you get my drift. That's what I mean. I use all the scent elimination, but I still play the wind. And if you don't, you will not be as successful as you would be if you did.
No, that's exactly right. Now, if there was a hunt, and I know you've done so many, but if there was a hunt that stuck out in your mind as one of your favorites, what would it be? And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I've had this question in a lot of my seminars and stuff like that, and it's always the same hunt. My favorite hunt, and it surprises some people, but my favorite hunt is an Ohio hunt that I done with a muzzleloader, and I killed a 200 class deer up there in Ohio. And the reason that it's my favorite hunt, not just because it's a world-class deer, but me and my son, Tim was running the camera for me at that time, and he traveled with me for 4 or 5 years. And we were up there hunting with Joel Snow, and we were on a farm, and Tim and I had hung these stands, and it was Halloween. And this big mega giant deer came out, and I had a decoy out, and he was going to come to my decoy. And what happened is he looked at my decoy, and then about a 130 or 40 come out behind him in this little field. And he looked at my decoy, looked at the other buck, and he decided, he turned and he walked over towards the other buck and walked him into the timber and followed him in there, and he didn't come back out. Well, I saw him again the next night, and didn't get a chance at him. Well, I was supposed to leave, but I stayed 2 extra days trying to shoot this deer, and we didn't see him anymore. But the rut was getting ready to start, and I knew that was his home core area. And so when you have a deer license in Ohio, it's good for any season, any weapon. And we made the decision to come back with the muzzleloader, and the muzzleloader was a 4-day season at that time between Christmas and New Year. And so Tim and I left, went to Illinois, went to other places, but we was coming back. And that was the plan. And Joel was good with that. And we did. We came back, and Joel said, we'll go this place in the morning. And I said, I'm not hunting in the morning. And he said, what do you mean? It's opening day. I said, I'm not hunting at all for the first 2 mornings. I'm only going to hunt that stand in the afternoon for the first 2 days. If I don't shoot that deer, then we'll go to some other places. And Tim and I went in there. The buck came out farther away, but he ended up working his way to us, and we ended up killing him. And that's always going to be my favorite hunt, because Tim and I did it together. We planned it together. It was a great deer. But to share a hunt like that with your son, it's always going to be my favorite.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds great. And your son Timmy has filmed me. I know he filmed me on an elk hunt one time. We had a lot of fun talking about you. But
Rick.
hey,
I
remember
that we were in college.
Yeah, I remember a turkey hunt we did together, you and I. And if I'm not mistaken, you killed a Mustang turkey. Was that right? Does that sound right?
Yes, I did. I shot a big Merriam's gobbler, and I was leaning up against a 1968 Mustang that was in this pasture. And you and I believe Philip was there. Yeah. And I shot that. And I shot that turkey with that little 20 gauge single turkey gun that HS made. And I shot that turkey at over 50 yards. But yeah, that was the Mustang gobbler.
Yeah, there was 3. Sure was. There was 3 old junk vehicles out in the middle of this field, and Stan thought, well, let's go sneak in there and set up by it and see if we couldn't call one in. And you sat right next to that Mustang and called in a turkey and killed it. I remember that.
Rick,
yeah,
we got a question.
Yes.
So we got a question. Lars Erickson, he says, because you guys are talking about elk and also whitetail, he's like asking, what's better, the elk hunting in New Mexico or whitetail hunting?
Well, I'll let Stan answer that one.
That's a good question. The way I would answer that question would be that there's nothing that I would rather do than hunt from the middle of September to the end of September with a bow for big bugling bulls. It's the most exciting thing I've ever done. But I'm not saying that I like it better than big whitetails. What I will tell you is that the great whitetail hunting, rut hunting, is at a different time of year, and I am glad that it is because I love them both. But those big screaming bulls in September, Rick, you and I have done a lot of that, and that's hard to beat.
It is. In fact, Lars, that was asking the question, is going to help me set up a hunt, and I'm hoping that I draw my tag. I've got 17 points in Colorado, and I'm going to try to draw a good unit over there by Lars, and he's gonna help me out with that hunt. I'm hoping. So maybe we'll get that done. Stan, what all have you hunted? I mean, I know you've hunted deer, I know you've hunted elk, and I think you've hunted bear, if I'm not mistaken. But what else have you hunted over the years?
Well, I've hunted most of the big stuff in North America. I've killed on camera. I've killed, you know how many big whitetails I've killed. I've numerous big muleys. I've killed numerous big bull elk. I've killed big giant bull moose, you know, multiple moose. And I've killed a big silver tip grizzly in British Columbia on film. So, you know, I've killed a lot of stuff. The only thing that I haven't done that maybe I'd like to do before I get too old to do it, and I'd like to go kill a couple of big caribou. And I've had the opportunity to go, but I've just never been able to work it in. And I would love to kill a big caribou. And then I think for me, the animals in North America, that would cover it for me.
Yeah, I'd like to do that someday too. I think a caribou hunt would be fun. Now, what kind of luck did you have this year? I know we're through the rut, and you were hunting in Illinois, and I understand you had some pretty good luck in Illinois this year.
Yeah, I did. You know that I only hunted Illinois this year. I didn't travel and do any hunts. The last 2 years, I haven't done any traveling for obvious reasons, you know, with the way things are. But that's going to change next year because I'm going to draw an Iowa tag, and I'm going to come and hunt with you, and you're going to put me.
There you go.
Put me on. But I have had a great year. I've shot 2 big management whitetail, which are both 5.5-year-old deer. Had a lot of history with them, a lot of pictures, a lot of trail cam stuff. A 6x5 and a big 5x4, and they're both big deer, 50s plus deer, you know, but big.
Yep. Okay. You know, I've got just a couple of minutes here before I get into the special, but you know, next week, as you know, we've got your wife Brenda is going to be on the show, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Brenda, and you know, I've had the opportunity to hunt with her on several hunts over the year, but I know you have. And when you first got married, and I don't want to give too much away because I want to let Brenda do her own show next week, but did Brenda do a lot of hunting prior to you two getting married, or is that something that you got her involved with? I don't remember the whole story there.
No, she was a hunter when I met her. She's hunted her whole life. She's been hunting since she was a little bitty girl. And it's a real cool story because, and she'll probably talk about this, but believe it or not, Brenda's grandmother and mother taught her how to hunt. And she hunted with her grandma and her mom when she was a little girl, and that's how she grew up. They used to go shoot bows. They used to shoot archery tournaments. I mean, you know, she's a real deal.
Well, that's good. And I'll let her tell her story, but everybody make sure that you tune in with us next week because Brenda is going to be on, and she'll have some great stories. Not only is she a hunter, but she's done a little bit of writing, and she's done a lot of different things. So it'll be really interesting. Now I want to talk a little bit. I mentioned that we had an unbelievable special this week, and trust me, and I always say every week we got this great special, but this is probably one of the best specials that I've got to talk about, especially price wise. So it's the Shasta Ridge action camera. Okay, model number 300 AC. Now it's a 4K action camera, and we've had this item on our show before, but not at this price. And Paul, I don't know. Paul doesn't have his video hooked up, so I don't think we can even show it, but it's on the website. But it's the 4K action camera.
It's pulled up, Rick.
Okay, you've got it. Good. Okay, so there's a picture of it. It comes with a Bluetooth remote that you can run off the Bluetooth. It also Wi-Fi's directly to your smartphone, or you can just run it manually. And it comes with tons of accessories, and most of our competitors' accessories will work on this camera as well. One thing I really like about this camera is it comes with a little ground stake. I call it the decoy stake. It just screws right into the camera, stick it in the ground. I love setting them up on my decoys. Now, in the waterproof case, and you can let me know if I'm wrong, Paul, but I think it's waterproof down to 150 feet, I believe. But if you take it out of the case, it's still waterproof down to 15 feet, which more importantly means that you can set it up in the rain and you don't have to worry about it. When you put the cases around these cameras, you tend to lose some of the audio quality. So now you can actually take this camera, set it up, get great audio. It's waterproof if it rains. It won't ruin your camera. But anyways, the Shasta Ridge action
15
camera.
feet without the case and 100 feet with the case.
Okay. Thanks for correcting me. 100 feet with the case, 15 without. And when I was talking to Stan on the phone earlier, he was talking about how Brenda would really love a camera like this. So Stan, I'm going to make sure we send you one. But anyways, let me talk about the price. So regular price on this camera, just so you know, is $179.99. Now we've got a special going on the website right now for $159.99. However, through Sunday at midnight, we're going to have an On the Hunt special price, $75. It's not ever going to get any cheaper. So if you'll get on the website, bresserusa.com or alpen.com, and go ahead and order the Shasta Ridge action camera. It's model number 300 AC. The product normally sells at $179.99. There is a sale going on, but this week, if you put in, when you go to order the camera, just go into the promo code and type in On the Hunt with no spacing, you're going to get it for a special price of $75. So if you're looking for that type of camera, you better buy it now, and then make a great Christmas gift. And we got a lot of other specials right now on the website on some different optics and some Christmas specials as well. So anyways, that's the special. Stan, you know, it's been a long time. We've got to get together and we've got to do some hunting or some fishing or something for sure. But I certainly appreciate you coming on the show tonight. It was good to see your face once again. It's been a while.
Oh yeah, Rick, I'm glad that you asked me to come on, and it just makes me think that, you know, we do need to make a special effort to go do some stuff and get together again, because, you know, we're not going to be around forever, and we've had so many great trips and so much fun over the years. You know, we just got to do it, partner.
Yep, that's right. Well, thank you for being on for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, Stan Potts, and I appreciate everybody coming along with us tonight on the Hunt with Alpen Optics. We will be on next Wednesday from 6 to 6:30 Central Time with Stan's wife, Brenda. Make sure you tune in. Stan, thanks again. Good night, everybody. Nice having you along.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm out doing a little bit of late evening scouting, just looking for deer and waiting for them to come out into the field. But I've got a new pair of Alpen Teton binoculars. You know, a lot of times people will ask me, what binoculars are best in low light situations? Well, that's simple. The answer is the Alpen Teton binoculars. And the reason for that is they have the Abbey Koenig prism, which simply means it allows 94% of available light to get through these binoculars, making them an excellent pair of binoculars in low light. So if you're looking for a pair of binoculars that will see detail into a dark timber right now, this time of the evening, make sure you check out the Alpen Teton binoculars. You'll be glad you did. Oh, here's some deer coming out right now.